Good afternoon. On behalf of the University of Rochester, the faculty and staff of Art Sciences and Engineering, and the Graduate Education and Postdoctoral Affairs Office, congratulations, you made it. There was no way any of us thought, as you began your programs, this is how we would be celebrating your achievement. But although the backdrop has changed, our current environment can't take away from all that you have accomplished. Your commitment to furthering your own education should be applauded. The rigor you demonstrated in your coursework, as well as the creativity displayed in your research and scholarship as you created new knowledge, are all the hallmarks of success at the graduate level. As you now become members of our university's group of distinguished alumni, the future is different than the one we all imagined. And although the current moment is potentially filled with anxiety and stress, when we reflect back on this time from the future, our history will be what we remember. The shared experiences and bonds that were formed as courses were finished and dissertations completed, navigated through uncharted territory for all of us. Determination and resolve in the face of adversity will serve you well. And as we move forward from today, not only do the old challenges still exist, but we're also faced with new challenges presenting problems none foresaw. The future needs people like you and your fresh perspectives to solve these seemingly unsolvable challenges. I know you are prepared to rise to the occasion. As one example of the impact our Rochester alumni have on the world, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christine Viets. Dr. Viets is Senior Vice President of Product Development at Foundation Medicine. Throughout her career, she has been at the frontier of translating medical devices to commercialization. We were lucky enough to have Dr. Viets at the University of Rochester as an undergraduate in chemical engineering. And she was the first woman to receive her PhD from our biomedical engineering department. Welcome, Dr. Viets.
Congratulations, new graduates. Pause for just a moment and really appreciate yourself and all the work and accomplishments over the last few years to bring you to this Zoom graduation today. Seriously, I am so grateful for the honor to be able to speak to you all today. It's truly, for me, it means so much to have been asked to provide a graduation message for all of you. In fact, I think it's probably one of the few times my husband was actually impressed with anything I've ever done. So, Dean Nick, thank you so much for that. But on a serious note, I was so excited about coming back to Rochester to give this graduation address. And like many, if not all of you, it was incredibly disappointing to find out that there wouldn't be a live graduation this year, and that this would have to be recorded over Zoom. And it turns out that recording it over Zoom is so much harder than doing it live. I must be on like take number 52 by now. I'm tired of my own voice, actually. But this is the real me, the unedited, unfiltered version. So here you go. So in preparing for this, I thought about what would make a good commencement address. And I went back and really thought about what mine were like and what I remembered. Turns out I don't remember almost anything about either of my graduations. I don't remember who spoke. I don't remember what anybody said. Nothing. One word, nifty. I do remember a speaker from my undergraduate graduation using the word nifty. I have no idea what was nifty. Something was nifty. So I contemplated just leaving you all with like a fun word bank of folksy, outdated words like kerfuffle and malarkey and fiddle fart and copacetic. I don't know. If you're satisfied with that, you can pause now and we're good. But I would like to provide you with something hopefully a little bit more inspiring that. So I'm going to share with you all a little bit about my own experience and some of the things that have worked for me over the years. So now what I do remember was a beautiful sunny spring day when I graduated with my PhD. Surprising in Winchester, a beautiful sunny day, but it was. But there was definitely a cloud of anxiety hanging over my head at the time because I was really afraid of failure. It was basically sink or swim in the real world. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really burned out on science, so I wasn't particularly excited about my options or my future. Um, and I didn't have a clear idea of what my career path was going to look like. So looking back, it wasn't really the best time for me. But I'm guessing a lot of you are probably feeling that same kind of anxiety today, particularly in the state of the world. You all probably have one of the most difficult years to be new graduates. And I hope I can at least provide you with, if not inspiration, some comfort knowing that as long as you're willing to work hard, as long as you're willing to continue to learn, and as long as you go out into the world with kindness, you'll do well and you will change the world. I tell you, you have to work hard no matter what. Most of you have probably figured that out by now because you don't usually make it to graduation without having to have put in some degree of hard work. But I can tell you, it's not always a guarantee of success, but not working hard is almost always a promise for failure. I also would tell you that you can pretty easily make a difference in the world by simply being nice to people, being kind. If you want to change things, go forward. You can today go out and be kind. Actually, but don't leave your houses. Be kind within your houses for now. But seriously, it's sometimes really that easy. And I think finally, the other thing that's been incredibly important in my life is to have been able to really set my ego aside and to have approached life with a little bit of humility and understanding that you can learn from almost anybody and that some of the best opportunities are often small experiences that can go unnoticed. So make sure that when you go out in the world, don't overlook great opportunities because they seem insignificant. So if that's enough motivation for all of you, you can stop here. Or if you'd like, I can tell you a little bit more about how I went from being a pretty discouraged and disgruntled new graduate to where I am today, where I am working in a company that I absolutely love. I tell my kids it's a win-win-win situation. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. It feels deeply meaningful to know that the work I do can directly help oncology patients have better access to precision medicine. And it's pretty nice to get paid as well. So how did I get here? Well, as I mentioned, I was pretty unsure of the direction I would take in life after school. I didn't really think I wanted to stay in a scientific career because I was so burned out after grad school. I thought I would do it a couple of years and then do something else. And then I got my first job. And I was incredibly fortunate to get this first job. It was what I thought was going to be the most absolutely boring job in biotech ever, developing assays. But luckily, I was completely wrong. It turned out to be an amazing experience, and I learned more than I ever imagined that I would at that company. I ended up staying for about 7 years, and it turned out to be a really interesting technology that I was working on. And because it was a small company, I had an opportunity to learn everything from manufacturing to running a clinical service lab. But I think perhaps most importantly from that experience, I had a really amazing boss and mentor at the time, and I learned a lot about leadership from her. And probably one of the most important lessons that I learned from her is that if you truly want to lead, you absolutely have to be willing to serve. If you aren't willing to do what you're asking people on your team to do, the message that they will get is that either their job really isn't very important or that it's such a miserable task that nobody wants to do it. And trust me when I say that that is not going to inspire anybody to do their best work. No, I think once people realize that you are in it with them, they will try so much harder, and it can really bring a team together when they know that their leader is fully supportive and behind them in their efforts. So, having gotten some really great first experience, I went on to a couple different companies afterwards, and there's really no diplomatic way to put it. Both of those jobs were positively miserable experiences. Um, Miserable or not, I learned a lot more than I expected. And I really took a big jump up in responsibility as well. I often was tasked with a lot of business and operational work that I didn't necessarily know how to do, but nobody else in the company did either. So there was really no choice other than to figure out how to do that work. And in contrast to having had a wonderful boss at the first company, I had a few that weren't so great. In fact, one of them told me that the only thing that motivates is fear. Um, he was kind of right, because I heard him say that and I thought, wow, you are freaking crazy. And he motivated me right out the door. So I think the good lesson there is that that is not the kind of boss you want to be. Like, trying to motivate people through fear and threats is not going to ever be productive or helpful in the long term. But in the end, it was good for me because it did motivate me to leave quickly. So that brings me to Foundation Medicine, where I work today. And when I joined Foundation about 8 years ago, I was again in survival mode, much the way I was when I left graduate school. I had to take a step down in job title. I had to take a position in quality assurance, and that also felt like a step down in status, having been directing technical operations previously. As it turns out, it was absolutely an opportunity of a lifetime. So I'm so glad that I put my ego aside and that I was willing to take the chance and join Foundation Medicine when they were just a small startup company. What I didn't realize is that joining the quality assurance and choosing to lead that department would mean that I was interacting with every team in the entire company. And that was an opportunity to learn everything and to really understand how all of the technology worked, not just the wet lab, but also the software. And it also gave me a fantastic opportunity to really help shape company policy early on. Also, because all the problems pretty much end up with quality assurance, I got a reputation as somebody who solves problems. So other teams would look at me as a person that they would seek out when they needed help figuring out how to do something. And that's a pretty great position to be in. I did, however, do a lot of work quite frequently that nobody else wanted to do. But what people frequently fail to understand is that work that nobody wants to do is often where some of the best opportunities are. So I took advantage of those times when everybody else was abdicating leadership because some piece of work didn't look very exciting or glamorous. And I'm going to tell you that when you're confronted with something, oftentimes that is when you should step up and be a leader. I also gained a reputation of following through on what I said I would do and taking care of people on my team and making sure that the teams and the people that were working with me or for me had all the support they needed to do their jobs well. The work I was doing in quality assurance led into work in regulatory affairs, which I am guessing that many of you think sounds horrible, and you're imagining big piles of paper everywhere and checking boxes and I don't know what all. And there might be a little bit of that, but actually it turns out that it's all about scientific debate with FDA, which is a lot of fun. And it was also deeply meaningful work because getting approval from FDA and then getting coverage for reimbursement meant that all of a sudden precision medicine was much more widely available to more patients than ever before. And for me, that felt so meaningful. So I'm really thankful that I had an opportunity to do that work. More recently, I am head of product development, which is a big new responsibility, and it's a little bit scary sometimes. But I'm so excited about all the opportunities I will have to learn even more from the people around me. And it's exhilarating to know that there is so much more I can do to improve the lives of cancer patients. So with that, just take comfort in knowing that, while right now may feel so like such a difficult place in your lives, it's going to be okay. You have a fantastic degree from a great university, and it will serve you well. So go forward, be open to learning, be nice to people, and you're probably going to do pretty well in life. Once again, congratulations to all of you.
Hi everyone. As a University Dean of Graduate Education at the University of Rochester, I have the distinct pleasure of congratulating all of you, the doctoral graduates of the class of 2020, on all of your accomplishments and your degree. This degree represents the culmination of years of academic training, hard work, long nights in the lab, in the library, all support and sacrifice from your family and friends. It's a momentous occasion. Unfortunately, these are unprecedented times and we can't be together. I'm filming this from the backyard of my house with my teenage son behind the camera. But regardless of how we connect, just know that we are so happy for you. We are so proud of you, all of your advisors, all of the faculty, and I'm sure your family and your friends. I wish you all of the best on your journey wherever it takes you. I hope we'll find you back on campus at the university when we can celebrate this all together. In the meantime, stay safe, practice social distancing, actually practice physical distancing, but not social distancing, and keep in touch. You're now our proud alumni, and we are so proud of you. All best and Meliora.